Welcome and hello to today's ARRI Tech Talk live session. My name is Florian Bloch. I'm Head of Product Management at ARRI Lighting. And today it's my pleasure to put the focus on lighting, news and updates regarding our product range, software and hardware. The ARRI Tech Talk live format was developed and invented because we need to stay in contact with you. So to do that and to use that opportunity most efficiently, this is all about a Q&A session. Of course, I do a lot of presentation slides in between, but the more questions you will send us, and please use the chat function for that, the better the more answers, of course, I will give. And as I said, we can use that session as efficiently and positive as possible. The session will be recorded and also be available later. The ARRI Tech Talk live format is hosted here in the Areal, the new ARRI headquarters based in Munich. This format would not be possible without the help and support of many colleagues, which a part of them are still here supporting me during this event tonight. There are colleagues in Berlin and here in Munich, and I would like to mention all of them. Hopefully I do not forget one. There is the marketing, Sebastian and Annalena. And there is from the digital workflow solutions team, mainly related to camera, sorry for the delay. There is Simon operating the camera, Jan on the camera, and on the turntables today there is Rosi, and also Florian Rettich from the ARRI Academy is supporting tonight. This session will, as I said, be mainly on lighting. Lighting means, of course, firmware, software, and hardware these days. So it's about digital lighting. The last three sessions were mainly related to camera and camera accessories, signature primes, 10th anniversary of ARRI Alexa, and of course also our electronical professional accessories for the cameras. But to start now with lighting, I would start with Stellar. Stellar is our lighting control app. And when Stellar was launched, there was one thing which we were asked to do and also which we promised to do, and this is to come up with continuous updates, upgrades, and additional features. And after smaller additions, we have recently started or launched the Stellar 2 version. Stellar 2 fulfills a promise which we gave when we launched Stellar, and that was that we introduce a third-party fixture control. In saying this, let's go into some of the details. When we thought about which products from which brands we should consider as part of our ecosystem for Stellar, it was a natural decision to do that with KinoFlow. KinoFlow and ARRI, I would say, are long-time companions on a lot of sets. And with KinoFlow and with Frida as the mastermind behind, as I said, it was easily done. Another company, another brand, which made a great success during the last years is Lightgear. And therefore also Lightgear was considered, and part of their portfolio is now available to be controlled with Stellar 2. Another company which was considered is Astera. So at ARRI, normally we are a little bit reluctant to talk about other company products, and that's for various reasons. We like to focus on the goods and the insights of our products and talk and refer to those. But of course, we know that on modern sets, a lot of different lighting is still used from various companies and various brands. All those brands and manufacturers are with all the details available on our webpage. So not all the modes and all the products are supported. So please take a look at the webpage, arri.com/Stellar. There you find all the details. There is even more to Stellar 2. We put there generic dimmer, so you can also use DMX capable dimmers for tungsten light sources. So additional to the three brands I just mentioned, it's now also possible to control fixtures which are more from the analog or conventional type. Of course, we hope that mainly you use ARRI tungsten light sources. There are three different versions, up to 12 to a rig of 12 generic dimmers. But this is more to Stellar 2, but this is the main point I would like to focus on. But as I said, there is more. One thing which I think is also quite nice, and this is really based on feedback which we got from the users, we have now what you call a swap out possibility. Now, the assumption is that what happens if, for whatever reason, a product will fail, communication on the network will fail. You can now swap out an existing and the network management enabled existing light source like SkyPanel, like an S60, and once you have that replacement already in the network, or you put an additional via a rescan in, you use the swap out option to really exchange the one out and the other one comes in. That means the settings, the parameters, the group information, the name, all will be copied to the replacement fixture. And you have to do nothing to edit it. It really comes on a one-by-one replacement. You see here in a little animation how that is supposed to happen. Another great addition is the grouping of different CCT ranges. You know, in our also history, we had products which was daylight tunable and also tungsten tunable. And both have, differently to the C versions of SkyPanel and L series, a smaller CCT range. And if you combine them now, of course, the one with a smaller range takes precedent, and this is done in the way that if you here see the combination of a daylight tunable L7 and a SkyPanel S60, the result of the CCT range will be 5,000 to 6,500 Kelvin. So, although this set is illuminated with LEDs from us only, I have to tell you that it's really warm here. And of course, this is based on all the electrical gear and electronical gear which we have here in this setup. By the way, I will give you later on some question to the setup which you see here, and also to the presentation I talk about here. But let's focus on the presentation for the time being. The final new feature I talk about Stellar is, as you always call it, other improvements. But there are two things I would like to highlight. Number one is that you now can set your default intensity. When we launched Stellar, there was the question, do we go with 100% or do we go with 0%? Now it's up to you. You have the possibility to go from 0 to 100 in 10% steps, and whatever comforts you is most convenient for your usage, just select it. Another new feature, which is because it requires RDM, limited to only RDM capable products like our L series, like our SkyPanel, and of course also in future to Orbiter, is additional fixture data. Remote control, yes, network is very important, no matter, but also remote maintenance is very important. And therefore, we decided to come up with that feature, and it gives you additional information about temperature, about LED status, about supply, whether it mains or battery. And with all this feature set, Stellar 2 is really a huge step forward in terms of our promise to make Stellar as versatile as possible. So, in a nutshell, third-party support, swap out fixtures, the grouping of different CCT ranges, and other improvements are the main topics. Stellar 2. Commercially, no changes. So that means you can still select from a monthly subscription or an annual subscription. And I think that gives you a lot of possibilities to use Stellar on smaller, middle, or also larger scale productions, whether it's studio-based or on location. There is one thing in Stellar which requires your input. We have a possibility there that you give us feedback regarding other brand and manufacturers you would like to see in further Stellar updates regarding the third-party control possibility. So whoever comes to your mind, please send us an email, and we will, of course, investigate who it is, how they come up in terms of DMX and also RDM. And then we, of course, then step by step will include them in Stellar. So this is not meant to be that you send one idea and we immediately do that, because we need to collect and then time to realize it. But it gives you the option to really send your wishes and your proposals. And we have received already a bunch. Thank you for who had done that already. but still, as I said, we have to collect and then make decision. That's it so far on Stellar 2, but I think that's a lot. More than 5 years ago, we have shown to the world SkyPanel. We started with SkyPanel S60 and S30, C and RP for the remote phosphor. Since then, we have developed a range of products, a real family, of course, with the addition of the S120 and the S360, or both only in C variants. Two very important aspects for the success of SkyPanel was, and it still is, the continuous development of firmware, so adding new features with free firmware updates, and the bunch of accessories. We have started with a relatively long list of accessories, and today we have already a huge list of accessories. I think our accessory guide now has more than 80 pages, something like that, with the latest edition. And you can see all the different, from mounting to, of course, different optical accessories, everything which should make your work on set smarter and smoother, so quicker. But it's not only about making things more versatile, of course, it's also about quality. SkyPanel, as I said, has already reached the 5 years. Nevertheless, we still work to improve the quality, as we believe that it's a long time investment whenever you invest in ARRI products. One thing is, and I mentioned that with a little smile, are the new knobs. Yes, we have new knobs. So this is how the old knobs look like, and this is how the new knobs look like. Actually, the remote control already has been changed since April this year. So if you have a remote control, you may check it, and if it comes with the new knobs, you know that it's a rather new production. And if it comes with the former ones, it is a little bit older, but not, of course, not better, or worse in any way, but also not better. The new knobs are backwards compatible, of course, in terms of repair, but they give you an optimized stability all over and a better operation feeling. So we believe that this is very crucial, because if you do not use it in the way you like to, or they don't work according to your expectation, you might do something with a lot of the features that it has that you don't intend to. So new knobs are available. But this is, as I said, quality improvement. The next thing we do is, as I said, we have always the question in mind, okay, how can we make a soft light even more versatile? And of course, light banks to make a soft light even softer were key to the success of SkyPanel. For still photographers, but also on many locations, the question was how we can change from a rectangular aperture into a circular field of light. And therefore, we developed with our partner the DOP choice, ARRI Light Specials, 3 actual. Here you see one of the examples, a photo which we took a couple of months ago for test. And with this ARRI Light Specials for the Octave 4, it's very easy to generate that sparkle in the eyes. So you get that circular field of light. And we have said 3, we have the baffle, and we have 2 different cloths, a quarter and a magic cloth. The magic cloth is a little bit thicker, and by that, of course, makes the skin tone even softer out of the skin rendering. But the skin rendering, of course, is great due to the great performance of SkyPanel, but a thicker diffusion, of course, gives you a nice soft light and a nice soft wrap, especially on the faces. When we talk about octaves, there is an Octave 5 and an Octave 7 by DOP choice in our accessory line, and it comes with a double bracket. And without a K, that works pretty well, the double bracket, even without the octave. So we decided to include now this as a standalone accessory into our accessory line. The double bracket can be used horizontally or vertically, especially with the S60, I think makes a lot of sense, but you can also use it with the S120. Then, of course, no chance to use it with the Octave 5 or Octave 7. It's a robust design. We have a lot of experience and very good feedback from a lot of locations and also studios all around the world. And it doesn't matter whether it's a video or still image, it does a great job, and it gives you the possibility to use 2 SkyPanel, a really powerful light with a small scale. So it's really small in space. And this is what we always try to do, is to optimize our products in the sense of how you can use them better on sets in terms of time, in terms of resources. Okay, that means, of course, the team sizes, the spaces, and of course also power. And talking about power brings me to the new B-mount adapter. The B-mount adapter is an open standard which is endorsed by ARRI but also wider industry, and it's a co-development with Bebop. Bebop is a battery manufacturer but also a supplier to ARRI for our battery adapter. It's a new 24-volt battery standard, and as you can see from that and take from that image, the B-mount power both is available to ARRI cameras but also to lights. It's the same idea, the same technology, and it can be used between both and shared between both. And that, I think, gives you also a great opportunity to work without main supply. What makes it so different? Because I said it's a 24-volt possibility, so you don't have the hassle and the issues with different battery performances. If you need with the V-mount or the gold mount 2 batteries, with a single battery you always operate at its best. And is it a 24 volt, just a glimpse of what might be coming as addition in the future? If we add in future 2 times 24 with a regulator, it might be possible to use a 48 volt full power on an S60 and an S120. But again, that's too much to future, too far in future right now. What makes the B-mount so interesting, especially, is the hot swap possibility. So you have a hot swap battery pack, which is of course a small one, and then you can really put another one, the big one like the 290 on top. And that gives you the possibility to exchange the batteries while you shoot without the loss of the performance, so the light output will remain. And that, I think, is a huge add-on for portability. We know we are not lightweight champion in terms of products, but it's about reliability, it's about the lifetime of usage. And that is the reason why people invest into our products. Now, that was already 2/3 of my time related to Stellar and SkyPanel, and it's of course worth to mention it. Nevertheless, now I need to skip and move on to Orbiter. Orbiter, you have heard already a lot of, I believe, and also watched maybe videos, different interviews. Unfortunately, we are not able to visit you. It's not possible for us, as none of us, to do all the events which have been cancelled. But nevertheless, there are demo units out. So if you see people using it from social media, or you also see our user feedback on the webpage, it's because we have sent out demo units to our regions. So that means to our subsidiary in the US, in Canada, but of course across Europe and of course across Asia. So if you like to see and put your hands especially on Orbiter to get an idea how it works, how it fits into your hands and how it fits to your needs, please contact your dealers, your distributors, your rental partners, and if possible, ARRI directly. I can't promise when and how you get your hands on the Orbiter, but of course you should all have the chance to get as close and also trained on an Orbiter as soon as possible, and maybe even before you have actually an Orbiter for the next job. And saying that, training is always needed. To help you actually even without training, we have put add-on to LIOS. LIOS is the Lighting Operating System, our name for what we formerly called firmware. With LIOS we have more possibilities than ever, and it will be the foundation of whatever we do in future in terms of user interface and user experience. One thing LIOS provides is help. So LIOS gives you a help button in the quick navigation, which are the 5 buttons at the low end to give you additional information regarding possibilities, so there is help if needed and where needed. And here you can see the example of the help text for the 3 operational modes which we have: high color rendering, high output, and low noise. I come to those a little bit later in addition. Another example for the help text here, for instance, on the color mode. As I said, wherever you are in the menu or in the modes, you don't get lost because helps really support you intuitively in your operation with the control panel. In addition to that, we use really the space and also the resolution of the control panel to give you more information when it comes to errors or warnings. Here's an example for one of the warnings. A warning is indicated by the yellow icon. An error would be red. And you press help and then you get information on what's going on, and of course also what a potential countermeasure is. The best help is if you can help yourself on set without any need to talk to our service. In some cases, our service or our service partners will be the only instance to help you, but nevertheless, the information via the control panel gives you a clear instruction what you should do. Let's talk now to a more, let's say, more the fun part. Help, okay, is interesting. Errors are not really the fun part, but more joyful are the effects. When I do my tests, and a couple of those tests I have to do at home, one of the things happened. My daughter stepped up to me, took over the control via the control panel, and played along with the effects. And I know that happens everywhere. So whoever is testing and working the first time with one of our products like the SkyPanel or the Orbiter, they all want to see effects because they are of course simple to be used and demonstrate the powerful features which we have built in and integrated. More overlay options, the headline says. And what that means that we have 5 effects: explosion, paparazzi, welding, strobe and fluorescent flicker. You have now more possibilities to individualize and put actually that color mode and this color section which you like to be used. So here's an example for explosion. You put explosion and then you said enter, and write down on the long press on the most right quick navigation button, you can change. Actually, here is the HSI, hue saturation intensity, but you can change that, and you press along the right button, you come to change color, and what happens is now you can select from all the 8 color modes which are available. Why 8? Because favorites are included, and whatever you select there will be then the basis, the color basis for the effect you have just selected. But I need to mention that not all the effects available on SkyPanel are also available on SkyPanel. Why not? Because there are 2 effects which require multiple light engines. This is color chase, and this is of course process. With the limitation of just having 1 light engine on an Orbiter, we had to eliminate those effects, so they are not available on Orbiter. But what is available, and what is another, I would say, evidence of the skills of our color science and also the powerful architecture which we built in, is the possibility to combine now direct channel control. You remember that ARRI Spectra, our new 6-channel light engine, comes with 3 primary and what I call 3 secondary LEDs, so red, green, blue, amber, cyan, and lime. SkyPanel does not give you the option, but here now on Orbiter, because it's more powerful and more versatile, you can do that. So as you can see, long press on the most left navigation button brings you the screen which you have mainly already seen during all the information which we have given so far. That is the new layout for the extended color control. And with those 8 possibilities, I think that's the language people speak on set. It doesn't matter which kind of set. You can then really determine exactly and most precisely to come to the color coordinates and the color you'd like to have. You can tweak it to the utmost. That's our point of view. As I said, there is a 6-color light engine. But what happens if you turn the calibration on? On SkyPanel we introduced RGBW calibrated. Why? Because if you just use direct channel control, different light sources, even from a single manufacturer, will give you different light output in terms of the color across one luminaire and across different luminaires. To overcome that, to solve that, the calibration was part of a Plaza standard 1.54. As far as I know, we were the first ones who implemented this on an LED light source, and we did it, as I said, on SkyPanel. But we do this as well on Orbiter. What we do now is we force a 6-color light engine to behave like a 4-color light engine, red, green, blue, and white. And if you use it, so once calibration mode is enabled, you can then select the white point and also set green magenta correction. There are so many possibilities to really get where you like to. It's mainly depending on how you like to work, CCT or with HSI, with the direct channel, or in XY, which I think is a very nice way to do it. And it is also proven record, I would say, that XY works to its best. But again, it really depends on the way you like to work. Gel selection. 318 gels are available, of course. But to give you more possibilities again, now it's possible not just to select between brightest and best color. Those are both determined by whether you choose high output or high CRI. You can also change the base CCT. On SkyPanel, you are fixed to 3200 and 5600 Kelvin, which is already a great achievement. For Orbiter, you can select from all the range from 2000 to 20,000 Kelvin. That means each gel slightly change its performance or its color coordinates based on the color temperature, on the base color temperature. Another great way to get where you like to. So however you like to work, Orbiter has already a huge, a massive range of parameters to give you the tools you need to work on set. I was asked during the last month, whenever we talked about Orbiter very often, can I run through the gels without this color jump? So changing the color behavior from one gel to the next. Yes, that's very simple to do that with an Orbiter because we have the no color option, which is basically also available on SkyPanel, but it's here just a simple click. So you briefly or shortly press the navigation button on the right, and then you have no color option set on. And once you now run through the gels, it will remain on your starting setting and it will not jump. And as soon as you then disable no color, of course, you will have then the XY, so the color coordinates of the gel you have selected. And the story, of course, goes on. There is a very interesting mode, the new mode, the thing which a lot of people like to hear more about, the color sensor mode. Color sensor mode, we recall we have on top of SkyPanel, we have a small dome, and behind this dome there is the color sensor. And we squeeze the performance by adding more calibration, more detailed calibration data to this color sensor. And therefore we have, different to the first version which we presented, we have introduced the sensor calibration. And with this sensor calibration, it's a kind of a presetting on the dominant ambient light you're working in. There are basically 4 ones, and tungsten, daylight, and LED gives you a very precise possibility and selection in which ambient light you work with. So it improves the overall performance of the color sensor. The 4th one is very similar to raw data. It's called generic, and it's the one which is the most versatile and universal. But now let's jump to something differently, which is connectivity. And before I talk about connectivity, I would like to remind you of That was one place of a training course by Richard Candina, which is available. You see there's a long link here, but of course this is available on ARRI.com. You go to Learn and Help, ARRI Academy, you get all the details. And it's a great session. I think it's about 10 or 11 videos by Richard Candina. And he's a real network expert. And I would really recommend that you listen and take the time if you have questions and if you are keen to learn more and get more information about networks. And he talks about DMX, wired and wireless, ArtNet and ACN, and how you combine all and how you, of course, come across different problems and also failure options to solve them. Now, talking about DMX brings me, of course, to DMX mode. This is also a question which came up very often. And the DMX mode between Orbiter and SkyPanel are slightly different. There are similarities, but it's not equal. Orbiter will start with the DMX mode specification 4.5. What is different? We kept the order, but we removed two unneeded modes, or a couple of modes, but basically two areas. First of all, coarse fine. Coarse fine was more a failure cause than really a help, so we eliminate the coarse fine. The second thing we had to remove is the light engine control. As I said, Orbiter just comes with a single light engine, so light engine control like on a S120 or even on an S360 doesn't make sense on an Orbiter. That really slims down a little bit or reduces the list of DMX modes. And if you just go ahead by standard, you have maximum in the ultimate mode of 42. You can even reduce that. You can shorten each DMX channel by 4 channels. But this is a lot of details, and of course you can have more information via our ARRI webpage for Orbiter. One thing which was a tough decision was how we deal with what was called master-slave in the past. Why? First of all, we got requests to go away from the term master-slave. Okay, we understand the idea and we follow this request because we believe that something like host-client gives you two things. First of all, it clearly marks the difference between master-slave in the past and what it does in future, because a master-slave function gives you the possibility to control multiple lights by one, especially by one SkyPanel. This will remain to SkyPanel and the L series. From Orbiter and onwards, so whatever we'll do in future, it will be host client. And it means that with LIOS 1, which will be the starting firmware package, the host client feature will only be available through and for orbiters. So one orbiter gives you then the control over multiple orbiters. But if you would like to combine and have one center of gravity, combine the usage of Orbiter, L series and SkyPanel, your center of gravity will be stellar. Of course, there will be a stellar update when Orbiter is available and launched. And as I said, it is the possibility to embrace all our luminaires, to group them, to combine them, and to use them as one. Talking about differences is, of course, something which we need to highlight and which we need to talk, because a lot of you have used SkyPanel multiple times on different locations and sets. And therefore, we need to focus on what is different, because you had so much time to learn and to be trained on SkyPanel, and now things are a little bit different on Orbiter. As you can see on that slide, also host client, of course, is mentioned here, but the light control looks a little bit different than the options on a SkyPanel. What we do not need anymore is, for instance, the low-end mode or the stage mode, which have been developed because of the need to improve the dimming behavior of SkyPanel at the lower dimming levels. SkyPanel, but of course Orbiter, come with 4 different dimming curves. exponential logarithmic to give you more details in the low end or the high end, to have a linear, which is straightforward, or the S-curve, which is basically the combination of the low details on an exponential and the high details of the logarithmic curve. And those are all available as well, of course, on an orbiter. As I said, dimming is now done in a way that we do not need special modes. Why? Because we combine 3 different techniques. There is, of course, current, there is PWM, which is mainly used for LED lights, and we also adapt and modify dynamically the PWM frequency. And as I said, we also do a current control here, and that gives us the possibility to also dim in the high-speed mode. Yes, of course, orbiter comes with a high-speed possibility, but different than SkyPanel. Although we believe on high speed you need a lot of light, there's now the possibility to dim in the high-speed mode down from 100 to maximum 10%. That is the range, what you can achieve. Now time is already critical, as I can see here on my counter. Talking about timeline and outlook. The pandemic hit us hard. It hit us hard across this entire industry. And it was the same for us, of course, about our plans on orbiter. And we had to make another tough decision when we will launch and how we will do it. And we decided finally that, of course, we have, or gladly I have to say, we have a lot of pre-orders, but unfortunately we had to shift them to later this year. And start of production, first customer shipment will be in Q3 this year. We expect first customer shipments beginning of September. As I said, we have a lot of pre-orders, and depending on from where in this world the pre-orders come, and certification is definitely an issue for those countries, for some of those countries. It depends then who will get the number one, or maybe the number one, and on further on. It will be launched, of course, together with the availability of Stellar, what I mentioned before. Launch means that it comes with the 3 open face optics with a couple of domes and the softboxes. The softboxes include the Octa 4, but of course also the snapback and snapbacks and light banks by DOP choice, respectively Chimera, in the sizes S and M, and of course the grids as well. But we plan more to do, otherwise it would not start on the left side of the slide. In Q4, we will then bring to the market focusable Fresnel optic and fixed angle projection optics. This has been a request, of course, since the day we have shown orbiter to public. And the team is working hard to make it as great as possible and to make it as lightweight as possible, which is a little bit of a contradiction, I tell you. And we will come with this to the market as soon as possible. It will be around, as I said, Q4 within this range of October to December. The fixed angle projection optics will be available in 15, 25 and 35. I mentioned that before, but we are also looking into the opportunity to have 50 degrees, 50. But there is more to come. There will be a small update on LIOS, we call it 1.5, and additional mount options. So there will be a 4-time frame and a 6-time frame beginning of next year. You see, we have a lot of things on our roadmap and in plan. Actually, we're already working on it. And more to come. Already in the next quarter, so Q2 2021, there will be a major update for LIOS 2. And we have a long list of ideas. It's very similar to the situation which we had in the beginning on SkyPanel. Once you show it, once you talk to people, people create instantly ideas, and it's really a lot of fun to get that feedback and try to incorporate as many of those ideas as possible. But it's not only about the firmware. There will be new optics. Details I cannot disclose by today, but of course as time goes along, we will then use more opportunities, maybe again events, customer visits, whenever it's possible, to give you more details on what will come. So you see, we're just about to start a new story to be told, and it comes with a lot of chapters, and we expect to have a long story to tell you. And I said the idea list is really long, and we have a lot of things on the roadmap and a lot of things to do. And it's really fascinating, and you can see the smile on my face. I'm really excited to work on all of those. It's a pleasure to be part of that team. Now, before we talk about your questions, it's on me to ask you some questions. And please use the chat function to send your answers while I talk about or in this Q&A session. Now, in the back, you see a tungsten light glow. And I would ask you, is this real? So is this based on the dimmer? Or is it fake? And if it's fake, how it is done? Number two, it's going to be interesting if you really attended this session actively. What was the maximum number of warnings on my orbiter slides? I took the pictures from a real use case, and there were warnings on the screen, and I wonder if you have seen what the maximum number was. And number three, there was one accessory shown here which was supposed to be available for SkyPanel, but it will be available for Orbiter 2. Which one was it? I'm excited to see your answers later in this session. A couple of questions which we have received already before today. I could already prepare the answers, and here you see the question. So one of the questions was, would like to see an actual comparison between Orbiter and ARRI HMI lights? This looks very interesting. This is something which I can't do here, an actual comparison. What I can tell you is that the photometrics of Orbiter are very similar to our Pocket Power 400 in terms of system. The shadow rendition with an open face optic is crisp and clear, and it does not need any diffusion. And that's very important when it comes to distance. The minimum safety distance is just 0.5 meters, so just 50 centimeters. You don't have to think about UV or IR, and not about heat, of course, which is of course based by AR. This gives you a lot of possibilities, even if it has lower photometrics, lower output like an M8, but you can get very much closer to the subject or the object if this is possible in your set. Next question. I would like to know the uses of Orbiter in coming area of films. Could it be costly? Could it be cheaper? And also how fast and reliable it can be. I really thought about the question how to answer it best. And I think we just go back to our main statement regarding Orbiter. It's about versatility. With the versatility which all of our products have in mind and Orbiter puts to the best, the idea is to help the work and the operation on set in the most efficient way. With Orbiter, it gives you the possibility to basically use just one kind of fixture, but change the characteristics of the light by the accessories. It doesn't matter whether it's about storage, transport, service, but also shooting. It means less gear, less weight, less hassle, because it's one product, you know how to use it, it is extremely versatile. So yes, I believe that you have, of course, a great balance between cost and performance and cost and lifetime. And a 3-year extended warranty is of course granted to the Orbiter from the first day. Next question. Also in one of the pictures on the Orbiter side, by the way, Orbiter is always written with a capital O. There is a picture of a battery pack. Any words on this? Can it be utilized with Skypanels as well? Yes and no. What you can do on both, on SkyPanel and on Orbiter, is to use 48 volt DC, regulated DC sources like power stations. There are solutions by various manufacturers. One we have used on multiple occasions was Bebop Cube, but I think we also used Anton Bauer and from other manufacturers. So 48 volt power station. And there, as I said, solutions are available from a lot of different battery manufacturers. What is not possible on an orbiter is to use a 12 or a 24 volt battery. So you always need a regulated DC input. Number 4, is it possible to record data from the orbiter to the camera? And if so, what data points would be possible to register? Or is this only used for frame rate sync feature? And is there a maximum cable distance? First of all, I think if it would be available for only the feature of frame rate sync, it would be a great add-on, and it will be. So actually there is a sync input, a dedicated TTL sync input on the backside of SkyPanel, and yes, this will be with LiOS 2 a feature coming up, gives you the possibility for having this frame rate sync. The Alexa 65, for instance, has that kind of output, and it will be utilized by the orbiter's input. But in future, based on IP, we will be able to do more. And data logging, from my perspective, but this is my view here, is that it's most likely be done by the DIT, or what I believe will be more used in future, really a network manager. Network managers are also used on events very often. And I know that I'm far behind schedule, but I'm sorry for that, and I hope I can keep you with me for the next 5 to 10 minutes. Can orbiter act as switch when powered off? So I referred this question to the Ethernet switch we have built in. You know, we have on the backside, we have 2 Ethercon inputs and also outputs. Different to DMX, it requires really, it's an active switch, so it requires power. In case of a power drop or malfunction, there will be no network communication. And that's it. Hey, the end is near. No, okay, just kidding. Now this was everything which I have prepared. Now let's see and switch to the questions. And I'm sorry, but now I need finally my glasses to read them. Okay, we have, is the B-mount only compatible with Bebop batteries? Okay, no, if I have not mentioned it before, I'm sorry. No, B-mount is an open standard 24 volt, and we know that other manufacturers have already started the development on matching batteries. So hi, and thank you for the tech talks. Question, your light fixtures are very heavy in capital letters. Is this parameter something you are working on in R&D? Yes, and I thank you for that question because it reminds me of something I would like to share with you. Why our products so heavy? And it doesn't matter which product, LEDs of course, in particular. Because we take care about the temperature, the thermal management and the temperatures within our luminaires. There is nothing more of importance than the junction temperature and the LEDs and of course the LED driver. And whether you use it downsize or look upwards, whether it's cold outside or warm, if you have direct sun, whatever the ambient conditions are, you have to maintain, or the light needs to maintain the temperatures in a small range. And the only way to do that, especially on an orbiter with its small and high energy density on ARRI Spectra's light engine, is to use a huge heat sink, and of course a fan. And we decided that we need a low noise operation on orbiter. Therefore we have a big, slow running fan, but also a huge heatsink. And a heatsink contributes a lot to the weight. 40 to 50% of the weight is due to the heatsink. And the rest is, we believe, in rough and tough handling for many years with our products. And therefore we use the right materials. We have fiber reinforced plastics and we use a lot of metal. Even now on orbiter, we have die casting on the front and the back part. So our products shall be available on sets, in studios, in theaters, on events, and withstand day-to-day handling and operation. And therefore, we need to put this heavy weight into our luminaires. It's not done because we're bad people. It's done because we believe that products have to fulfill the ARRI promise to use our products for long and also heavily. Sorry, again, the glasses. Oh, the links. Yeah, the links have been shared already. And team, have I missed questions? Here's another one. Does Stellar link up to all compatible fixtures without add-ons, or do you need to buy individual SkyLink package per fixture? Stellar needs, in terms of the wireless operation, of course, wireless DMX. And our system, the CRMX by Lumen Radio, is integrated into the S360 and also Orbiter. Both come with the antenna on the side to show that. But for the rest, if you like to use Stellar, it is possible with some additional adapters, but on iPads that does not really look nice, but it works with then Ethernet connectors as well. On Android, it's much simpler. So if you use that and then you have network switch and put one cable to each luminaire, you do not need to buy the SkyLink. But to really use it most efficiently, a wireless network is the best option. And therefore, for instance, for the L series and also S30, 60, and 120, you need SkyLink. Anything else? Yes, hi. What is the difference between the original S60 and the S60 LE2? I presume LE stands for light engine. Absolutely correct. Yes. We had to change the LEDs on the light engine because the LEDs which were originally used were not available any longer. And we were offered better LEDs. That means that for the RGBW, we could increase the output. And output, even if the S60 especially is really bright, more output is not the wrong thing to do. And saying that means we changed the LEDs, we updated the light engine, and LE2 exactly expresses light engine version 2. Can using Stellar show what version of the firmware is on? Yeah, right. So yes, Stellar gives you also, again, for our luminaires, because they are RDM capable, it gives you also the information of the firmware which they are running. All right. Team, Anna, Lena, Sebastian, do we have more questions? No, okay. But of course, we'd like to stay in contact with you, and therefore we will show you an email address. If you have questions, comments, please let us know. As I said, for us, it's most important to stay in contact with you and of course to incorporate your ideas and needs into our products. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'm sorry to keep you waiting and watching a little bit longer than originally expected. Bye-bye.